Hi, I'm Tina Taylor. One of the things that I've been exploring over the past 20 years is how people can do things, how one set of people can do things easily and other people find it difficult. And one of these things that I've been exploring is childbirth. So many people nowadays, when they're having babies, they think they're going to have an elected cesarean because it's going to be easier, or they're going to have this drug or that drug. And there's been so much choice available. And now, in this particular crisis, we're finding that the choices we had, we may not be able to have when we give birth. Women are being told either they have to have their babies at home because it's safer than going to hospital. And some areas are actually saying to women, no, you have to come and have your baby in hospital. And people aren't being allowed to have their partners and their families with them at this time. And I've had messages from women who are saying how this really worries them, that there's just going to be them and a midwife. Now, it wasn't that long ago when that's all we had, just us and a midwife. Many of you will have seen that show called The Midwife. It started in the 1950s, and women had their babies at home. They rarely went into hospital. And at one point, the partners, the dads, were never allowed to be present at birth. Oh, no, 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 that just wasn't going to happen. So, in the space of about 50 years, things have changed a lot. And now, because of what's happening, we may have to go back to giving birth with just us and our midwife. Now, the midwives are amazing people. They must have one of the most fulfilling jobs in nursing to bring a new life into this world. And of course, there was a time when all those drugs and things just weren't available. I believe gas and air only became readily available in the mid 1950s. Up until that point, there wasn't really an awful lot. Now, there was, in my research, somebody who came up that fascinated me. This was a guy called Grantley Dick Reed. He was an English doctor, and he wondered what it was that made some women have really easy birth experiences and others not so much. And he wanted to figure out ways to help women so that we could all have a simpler birth experience, how we could all achieve childbirth without medical intervention and much easier. Now, one of the things that he discovered in his research was something that he called the fear, tension, pain syndrome. He found that the women that had the easier birth experience were way more relaxed about it. They didn't get stressed, they were perfectly calm. And he discovered, or his theory was built around the fact that when the women became anxious, they became very tense, and then their body went into the fight or flight response as they got really stressed. When in the fight or flight response, blood is taken away from the uterus and sent to other areas of the body because it thinks we're going to fight or run away. This caused a lot of tension in the womb, and the womb is the biggest muscle in the human body. And what happens, for those of you that work out at the gym and keep fit, you'll know if you have a tense muscle and you try and use it, it's painful. So the very first thing he started to do was to teach pregnant women relaxation exercises. breathing exercises, just like the ones that have been taught probably since the beginning of time, teaching the women how to breathe, how to relax. When you do that, those muscles work much easier. One of my mentors and teachers, when he was looking at strategies people use to get rid of fears and anxiety, he spoke to people that had done just that, stopped being fearful and phobic over things to find out how they did it. So I went and I spoke to women who had easy births. I asked the local midwives and went to local NCT coffee mornings, and I found the women that said that their birth was an amazing experience and how wonderful it was. They didn't have any drugs, they just had natural childbirth. And I asked them what happened. And they all told me something very similar. They said that they got to a point in the labour, and as the contraction built up, they went to a place in their mind. They remembered something that they did with their loved ones. And then suddenly they were back there. They were reliving a wonderful experience with their partner, a wonderful experience with their families, something from the past. And it was as if they were reliving it. A couple of women told me that there was a picture in the room in the hospital where they were giving birth, and they climbed in the picture and they walked on the beach in the picture while their body gave birth. So they did something in their mind. They disassociated from the process of giving birth, and they went off and they experienced something else. Now this is a hypnotic phenomena. And one of the things that Grantley Dick Read said when he was with women that had easy birth experiences is they appeared to be in a trance-like state. So when he began to think about helping women relax and let go of fear, the first thing he did was he taught them how to relax. Now, some women are fearful because they have beliefs around what they think birth is. And they have thoughts in their head and they're imagining something horrendous happening. And one way you can let go of those thoughts is to do a very simple exercise that we're going to go through in a little while. You have to tell your brain to stop giving you those thoughts. Now, some women will have the thoughts because of an experience they've had, but the majority of women have those thoughts because of things they've been told. Something that has always amazed me is when some women hear another woman is expecting their first child. They have to tell them horror stories. It's as if they have to have had the worst birth ever. And you'll hear all these stories about how horrendous it was and how bad it was and how they hated it and how this and that. And they create fear in the other women. Now, one of the things I tell people that I'm coaching is for them to recognize that this is just some weird process that women do to other women. I guess nowadays we could even say it's bullying. And to recognize the fact that it's just a story. It may not even be true. I've been present with somebody many, many, many years ago, before I was actually running my classes, and she had her child. She had gas and air. She gave birth to her little boy. And when you hear her talking about the experience now, she says things that I know didn't happen because I was there and I don't remember any of those things happening. So I'm not quite sure if their experiences are as bad as they think they were. And I'm not quite sure why we feel this compulsion, why they feel this compulsion to tell their stories. And when you hear the stories and when you get given these beliefs from other people, that causes fear, anxiety, and stress. And one of the things that Grantley Dick Reed did was he taught the women how to relax. Now, you can do this by meditating. There's loads of things you can find online to help you meditate on YouTube. You can do this by practicing self-hypnosis techniques. And I have attached in the comments below a copy of a recording that I've done, a hypnotic recording that I've done to help women relax around the whole birth experience. So you could listen to that and just practice being relaxed. Now, many people have heard this saying, if you think you can do a thing or think you can't do a thing, you're right. Came from Henry Ford, apparently. And it's one of those things about programming our brain. If we keep telling ourselves we can't do it, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, I can't cope with it, you probably are right because you're not in the right frame of mind. Whenever we're going to be doing something, whether we're going to be learning a new skill, whether we're going to be running a marathon. I like the metaphor of running a marathon. I mean, it's called labour for a reason. It's hard work. And you would never, ever run a marathon or a half marathon without practicing, getting ready. So it's time to get your brain ready, to practice, to get ready, and to focus on the birth experience that you want. Now, if you are feeling anxious about the process, you're worried about the fact that your partner may not be able to be with you, I'd like your partner to help you with this and follow this exercise. To bring that thought to mind, the one that brings up the anxiety. And then just set it aside for one moment. And now think about how you look if you're in control, if you have all the choices that you need to enable you to be calm, responding the way you want to. So if you can't have your partner with you, knowing that the midwife that is there for you and will help you. She's going to be your coach through this process. She's going to help you every way she can to make this thought that you want, this result you want, make it compelling. This is your desired result, your desired state. This is what you want to happen while you're in hospital with the midwives giving birth to your child. And make it something that really works for you. Some of the midwives are just so wonderful. And I have been present at a few births in the past for people that I'm coaching. And I've been there with the mum-to-be and the partner and the midwife. And on occasion, the mum-to-be has asked the partner to leave the room. So, in history, maybe we were right when women just had other women around them at this very special time. Now you've got your desired state. You're there, you're supported, you're helped, and you're giving birth to your child. So just put that to one side for a moment and bring back that thought you want to change, the thought that was making you anxious, and have it there in front of you, and put your desired state that you've just created of you giving birth, supported, safely, and having your child in the corner, in the lower left-hand corner of the anxious thought. And then the anxious thought will get dark. And as it begins to get dark, that desired state is going to spring, enlarge, and it's going to spring up in size, and it's going to replace that anxious thought. And the desired thought is going to get big and bright, and it's going to go whoosh. And now instead of the anxious thought, you have the desired thought, the thought that you want. Now get your partner or somebody to help you do this process quickly 5 times in a row. And each time the desired state gets rid of the anxious thought, make the sound swish. And then open your eyes for a few seconds after each time. As you do this, you're telling your brain, no, stop. I don't want this. I want this. So these are just a few things that you can do to help yourself right now. And if you'd like a 30-minute free consultation with either myself or Tanya Bunting, who also teaches these classes for me, email us and we'll have a quick chat with you. Now, full coaching is also available should you desire it, and we can discuss that when we have our chat if that's what you're interested in. So practice being calm, meditating, and relaxing, and get rid of any of those anxious thoughts, and look forward to bringing that wonderful baby into the world.